Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're focusing our energy, our history books, and our metaphorical hiking boots on one tiny slice of the Camino Portuguese.
A really rich one, though.
Oh, absolutely. We are dissecting the 23-kilometer journey between Pontevedra and Caldas to Reis. And it's more than just a walk. It's really a condensed history lesson.
It truly is. I mean, when you look at the entire sweep of the Camino, this particular stage, it acts as a perfect learning microcosm.
A microcosm. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it sort of encapsulates everything you need to know. You've got deep ancient history, profound artistic influence, and the very modern challenges of infrastructure.
Right. Constantly colliding with a 1,000-year-old path.
Exactly.
So our mission today is pretty clear. We're going to slow down, absorb the context, and really extract the essential knowledge from this one stretch. We'll be talking about water, the rivers, the famous thermal springs,
Yeah, the architecture.
and all those layers of architectural memory. So what are the unforgettable nuggets of knowledge we need to take away from this walk?
Well, let's unpack that by starting exactly where the pilgrims do, leaving Pontevedra.
Okay.
The route immediately commits to its identity. You exit the city via the Ruta Santinha, and the first major landmark you hit is the Reis River.
Which you cross over the Pontevedra.
Right, and almost instantly you're up against a huge piece of natural geography, the Marisma de Asunción de Elba.
Now, for those who aren't familiar with the geography of Galicia, what exactly is a marisma, and why does it define this early part of the journey so much?
A marisma is essentially a coastal marshland, and in this case, it's an incredibly extensive one.
So a wetland.
A massive protected wetland. Ecologically vital, the path has to skirt its edge, which means you're moving alongside this huge living natural boundary.
So no straight lines here.
None at all. The path has to respect the environment, and that dictates the entire early pace and scenery for you.
That constraint doesn't end there, though.
Hmm.
The source material highlights this intense geographical squeeze early on. You have the ancient path basically pinned between two very powerful modern features.
The railway line on one side and the fast-flowing Rio Grande on the other. That's a key visual moment for any modern pilgrim. It symbolizes that constant tension this route manages.
And it forces you up.
It forces the path to climb, yeah. It takes you up to the historic altitude of Ponte Cabras, where you find the Santa Maria de Alba church.
And this is where the historical footsteps, they start to get really loud. We learn about Gushilde, a specific location where a very powerful figure, Archbishop Diego Ires, made a halt.
Precisely. We're talking about the 12th century here.
Wow.
Diego Ires was traveling from Braga, which was a major regional center, all the way to Compostela. And that stop, it wasn't just a rest, it was a strategically important point.
For power brokers.
For people of immense influence traversing the region, it confirms the path you're on was a recognized route long before it was the trail we know today.
I appreciate that depth. But let's talk about the experience. After that initial climb, after being constrained by all that infrastructure, does the scenery change?
It changes dramatically. You get that classic lush Galician immersion that people are really looking for.
Okay.
After you pass the small Capilla de San Cayetano, the urban context just falls away. You enter these deep, humid, green forests of Reis and Lambo da Macera.
And the transition into the next area.
It's marked by a small stone bridge, a classic Camino feature, crossing the Origodo Carceri stream. It's a moment of real natural tranquility after that pressure of the railway and river squeeze.
That sounds like a necessary breath of fresh air. Now let's pivot to navigation. The Camino is famous for the yellow arrows, of course.
Yeah.
But before those, pilgrims relied on much older signs. We have to talk about the cruceros.
Yes.
For someone who might not know, what exactly is a crucero?
They're magnificent stone crosses. I mean, highly detailed sculptures you find all over Galicia, usually at important intersections.
So they're not just religious symbols.
Well, they are, but their placement was deeply functional. They were the original trail markers. They served a vital, practical purpose by basically telling a medieval traveler, this is a literal crossroads. Here is the way to Compostela.
And on this stage, we get a fantastic lesson in these ancient signposts. There are three key examples. Near Balbon, two stand out, especially the one next to the Casa de Amanisa.
Right.
What's the detail that makes that specific crucero so remarkable for our deep dive?
It's the carving, it's the specificity of it. This sculpture doesn't just show generic religious icons. It explicitly depicts Santiago the pilgrim.
The pilgrim himself.
Yes, and he is oriented symbolically, looking north, gazing directly toward Compostela. It's an undeniable physical confirmation of the path's direction, just embedded in the stone itself.
That's powerful. You have this ancient direction finder, but then as you move past these incredible historical markers, you collide with the 21st century.
Yes, and this is where the route demands your full attention. The sources are very clear on this. You have to be vigilant with the signage.
Why is that?
Because the path continuously intersects, runs alongside, and snakes around two major modern intrusions: the N550 National Road and, critically, the new high-speed rail line.
How does that impact the experience? I mean, navigating a pilgrimage route that's constantly battling a highway and a massive new rail project,
Yeah.
doesn't that detract from the spiritual journey?
It certainly raises the question, can the spiritual coexist with the purely functional? The high-speed rail line especially, it hasn't just been built near the path. The sources indicate it has actively altered the landscape.
So it's forced the Camino to adapt.
To take sharp turns, to hug its boundaries. It's a very real illustration that the Camino isn't some frozen relic. It's an active piece of land subject to contemporary demands. It makes you appreciate the route's resilience, really.
That's a great point. After navigating those obstacles, the path starts its final run through Aseca and Brialos toward Caldas de Reis. It sounds like the terrain here is highly mixed, a bit of everything.
Exactly. You get some small stretches of dedicated dirt trails, but then you're right back on paved tracks, weaving through small hamlets. It's a constantly changing surface.
It keeps you on your toes.
It does. It makes you focus on the immediate ground rather than just, falling into a trance.
Okay, before we reach the legendary thermal town, we absolutely must explore the side quests, those hidden gems that add so much value to these 23 kilometers. Let's look at Brialos and Agudelo first.
Right. This is where we shift from navigation to the artistic history. In Brialos, you have the parish church, the Iglesia Parochial. It started in the 15th century. It was rebuilt in the 16th.
And inside.
Inside is a stunning display of art history. Multiple elaborate Baroque altarpieces right alongside a single earlier Renaissance piece. A perfect snapshot of religious art evolution.
But the real star in this area, the one that connects this route to the absolute highest level of Galician art, is the Iglesia de San Martino de Agudelo. We're talking 11th century.
This is the historical heavyweight. The Iglesia de San Martino de Agudelo shows clear, undeniable influences from the taller del Maestro Mateo.
And for our listener, why is hearing the name Master Mateo an aha moment?
Well, Master Mateo was the creative genius behind the Portico de la Gloria,
The entrance to the cathedral in Santiago.
the spectacular revolutionary facade. His workshop style defined the region's entire artistic path. And to find that caliber of influence, that artistic gravity, deep in a smaller provincial church like Agudelo,
It proves something.
it proves the Camino wasn't just a path for walking. It was a vector, a highway for transmitting the most advanced architectural and sculptural ideas of the time out from the main cathedral.
Wow, that puts these 23 kilometers in a much larger context. Shifting from architecture to nature for a second.
Yeah.
The area recreativa del Rio Barossa is just 400 meters off the route.
It's the perfect reflective stop. It has beautiful cascading waterfalls, but crucially, it features beautifully rehabilitated mills.
So you can see the history of the work, not just the faith.
Exactly. You can almost hear the water turning the wheels, and you can understand how communities relied on the hydropower of these rivers for centuries.
And before the final push to Caldas, you pass through Tibo, which the sources call a phenomenal ethnographic snapshot.
That's the feeling, yeah. It's like walking into a preserved community scene. Tibo has a complete ethnographic complex. A crucero dated precisely to 1654, a public fountain, and a fully functional lavadero, a communal washhouse.
So you can really picture daily life there.
You can almost hear the voices of the villagers gathered there. It's tangible evidence of the community hubs that grew up alongside the pilgrimage route.
And now the destination, Caldas de Reis. The name itself suggests its identity, but let's dive into its ancient history. Why is it known as the Villa Thermal?
Its identity is completely inseparable from its thermal springs, and this history goes back millennia. Its ancient Roman name was Selinus. And what's incredible is that this name, this location, was so important it was documented in the 1st century Roman route guide, the Itinerario de Antony.
So we're talking about a record from an ancient Roman highway map.
That's right. 2,000 years of continuous significance.
And the springs themselves. Caldas means hot springs.
Mm-hmm.
What defines them today?
The town is fed by the Aspergus waters, which flow out at a remarkably constant 40 degrees Celsius, and you don't have to stay in some fancy spa to experience it.
It's public.
These legendary waters are still available via an emblematic public fountain dated 1881 right in the town center. It's living, accessible history.
The final approach into town is also historically charged. You cross the medieval Pontevedra.
A classic Camino moment. But if you look closer, that medieval bridge was built right on top of Roman foundations.
So you're literally walking on layers of history.
It's physical archaeology. And crossing that bridge takes you to the Capilla de San Roque, which traditionally marks the end of this stage.
And the artistic pedigree follows us right to the end. We mentioned Master Mateo earlier. Does his influence show up in Caldas as well?
Absolutely. The Romanesque Iglesia de Santa Maria de Caldas, also from the 11th century, similarly displays those recognizable stylistic influences of his workshop.
So within this 123-kilometer journey, we found two churches, Agudelo and Santa Maria, that speak to the absolute highest artistic standard of the Galician Romanesque.
It's remarkable.
Okay, we've covered Roman history, thermal waters, high art. Now for what might be the single most surprising detail of this entire deep dive. It connects this small Galician town to, well, to international political drama, the Iglesia de Santo Tomás Becket.
This is truly unique. This church, built much later in the 19th century, is the only temple in all of Galicia dedicated to Thomas Becket,
The Archbishop of Canterbury.
the assassinated Archbishop of Canterbury, Great Chancellor of England, murdered in 1170 after his conflict with King Henry II. It's high-stakes European drama intersecting a quiet Spanish thermal town.
Why on earth is there a 19th century church in Caldas dedicated to a 12th century English martyr?
The answer is found right back on the route itself. The source material confirms it, Thomas Becket himself.
Wait, he was here.
Years before his assassination, he stopped in Caldas during his own pilgrimage to Compostela around 1167. He walked this path.
That changes the entire perspective of this stage. You're not just following medieval pilgrims. You're tracing the steps of a global figure who was defining 12th century politics.
It connects these 23 kilometers directly to a defining moment of European history. It just shows the incredible magnetic power of the Camino. It attracted everyone, from local archbishops to the most powerful and controversial figures in Europe.
So if we synthesize this journey for a moment, we started with Roman roads and 12th century archbishops, navigated high-speed rail lines, and ended at a town whose waters were famous 2 millennia ago.
And it's a stage completely defined by its relationship with water, from the small streams to the legendary thermal springs that give the destination its name.
And we have to recognize the layers of memory. We saw the highest expression of Galician Romanesque art, spread by Master Mateo's influence.
Juxtaposed right next to a much newer church, a late 19th century dedication to Thomas Becket, memorializing a stop he made centuries earlier.
This raises an important question, something for you to consider long after this deep dive is over. How does this single stage, encompassing a Roman name, 11th century church design, a 19th century dedication to a 12th century martyr, demonstrate that the Camino Portuguese isn't some static historical path?
It's not a museum piece.
Not at all. It's a constantly evolving story of memory, adaptation, and new construction, happening across 1,000 years. It forces us to appreciate that every step you take today is layered on the footsteps of global history.
Indeed. It's proof that a pilgrimage route just keeps accumulating history, even with today's modern world pressing in on all sides.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.